Hello, welcome back if you're not new, and welcome if you're new. I'm painting, as you've probably seen from the thumbnail, and this is one of the best paintings I've ever made. I think it's great on so many levels. I just think it's cool. I really did a good thing. Yeah. I started out with a canvas I got from a thrift store, so it was pretty cheap, and yeah, the drew there were flowers before on the canvas. Like the canvas wasn't black, it was like green and with flowers. So I just painted black and then I did the flowers because I just, tried something new. But they didn't end up staying all the way. Yeah. You can maybe hear something. That's because I'm in the city right now, or in a city, because my friend, he's he's gone. Okay, that's that sounds wrong. He's not gone. He's gone from his house right now, which is where I'm staying to make sure his cat has food and, doesn't explode. So I'm here being a cat sitter, and I'm like, yeah, I might as well, live here because I have stuff going on where it's just easier to stay here, especially compared to work. It's like, yeah, it's not easier for me to get to work from here, but it's easier if I just stay here, feed the cat, go to work, come back, make sure the cat's food, stuff like that. Because and it's also nice because I'm gonna like I have to find out ways to survive or whatever you want to call it. Okay, survive probably isn't the right word, but make sure I eat and make sure I do all the things that you need to do when you're living on your own, especially clean. Which is like, yeah, I don't know if you can hear that horn. You probably can. There's a stadium outside. Some kids are playing football. It's apparently pretty important. I don't feel like it's that important, but whatever. And yeah, I haven't really done anything. Right now, I just put in some cat food and some water, but she's just sleeping, and I'm just sitting on the couch doing not anything really. But that's also because yesterday, well, the day before yesterday, I was at a student graduation party, and yesterday I was also at a graduation party. So like I just had 2 days of straight up partying, and the first one I drank a lot and had a just did whatever because I didn't have to do stuff. But the day after, yesterday, I didn't drink quite as much and I didn't party quite as hard. I'm just tired because like we went to bed a bit late, but I'm happy that I didn't drink more because sometimes at a party it's like, yeah, I'm just happy I stopped right there. At least I was yesterday, and I'm happy about it now, so I don't have a hangover, which is really nice. I have to work tonight, which is you know as it is, I guess. Nothing much to say about that. Yeah, but I'm just happy about having like just chilling out, which I think is the most important. Just calming down for a while, and I'm like, okay, I have to stay here tomorrow too, and I only have to work in the evening tomorrow. So I'm like, what am I gonna do? I was like, oh yeah, that's the point. I'm gonna do like basically nothing. It doesn't mean I'm gonna stay inside all day. I'm gonna go out probably, just go in the city, and I don't know. I think there's a flea market tomorrow, so I'm probably gonna go to that and just look around the city and stuff like that. Yeah, so I don't really know. It's just a weird thing. Talking about weird thing is this painting. It started out pretty weird, but also pretty similar. But I wanted to do something different, but it just ended up even more different than I thought it would be, which I think is a usual occurrence with my art. I never, I sometimes make a sketch, but that's a very rough sketch, of like just the pose or some shapes or things I want in a painting. But mostly I just go to paint and I create something, and it just turns out sometimes really bad and I have to start over, sometimes decent, and very few times it turns out great. But I realized that I need more randomness in my art, and starting out like the way I did here has some good points but also has some problems. So right now I'm beginning with the craziness, which is what is going to make the painting, which may seem weird just to cover the things you just painted, especially when the paint is still wet. But that was part of my plan, because I wanted to make this like a muddy, mixed, random color, because the one was too light. The first one was too light, too pink. So like it's just a start here, and I'm beginning to do more randomness and more just laying down some weird shapes and colors, and kind of just very quickly make some brush strokes that represent something, because I think that's the most important part in the stage, because it's going to be ugly no matter what. Like every painting has its ugly stage, and you just gotta live with it. At least that's the way I try to do it. And just in some large brushes with some paint, and some small brushes with some different paint, and all these things that really make the piece pop. That's the important part, because this makes like the best building ground for details and features and just everything else. It makes painting like this makes ideas flow in my head better, I feel like, because when you have this kind of random thing, you can look at it and be like, okay, where do I put the things? Because there is some similarities to a normal face, but then there's also this huge mess in front of it and everywhere, and you kind of have to, a bit like a statue, you have to carve it out. At least that's the way I look at my painting process. It's more about uncovering the image than it actually is about creating the image, because I feel like I already know the steps how to do it for some weird reason. It's like I don't think when I paint. I just paint. I create. I plan and I do stuff quickly. I also do stuff slowly. I also let stuff sit and I let stuff dry, and I let myself think about what am I going to do next. But it's a flow. It's a personal flow of energy, which comes from me down to the canvas, and there it just becomes something. Yeah. Starting out with the darks, the shadows, the complete blacks. And to anyone, if anybody says, you should never use completely black for shadows or for dark places or mixing, it's so bad, they should tell them to shut up. Because if you want to do that, then do it. Like, all these rules that are in painting, they really piss me off. like, like it's fair enough if you have personal rules or personal things you don't do in your painting process, but telling it to other people, especially people who are beginners, that you should never do this because is the worst thing ever. Because I think that's a part where art becomes very pretentious, is where there's rules and do's and don'ts, and it's literally the most freeing creative process ever. It's just about making whatever you want. There's one thing I can agree with that most other artists hate, and that's copying and passing it off as your own. That's annoying. That is really annoying. Mostly because it's just respectless for the artist. It's if you copy something completely or is very inspired by an artist, that's completely fair. I am too. But you just say it. And you all know, you've all seen some person on social medias of every kind copying basically every artist. nice glass of ice water. There is also, though, a point to be made that copying is important. Like, it's important to copy your favorite artist to get better, and it's important to learn to copy from life and stuff like that, but within reason. But I think that's like everything there is in the whole like world. You can do whatever you want, and just do it in moderation. Do it within reason. Do things the right way, I would say. And I know I just said there aren't any rules, which still counts, and that's a rule, I guess. So it's like, do whatever you want, really, to be fair. Just do whatever. Because why not? It's your life, man. Or woman. Person. But yeah, you can already see me starting to build out the faces here and the features with the dark, with the black color. I'm just creating like just the eyes and the nose and the mouths and the chins here. And I really like this, like just having the black outer part of the chin and also just create some contour. It's a bit makeup-ish, like makeup, but it's like, I think it's really cool. And it creates some really nice shadows. Just going light on the nose. Also red noses. That's kind of a thing in my art, I realize. And I don't have anything in particular that makes them like, why do I just think it looks cool? But it's like when I'm cold, my ears get red and my nose get red. I think most people kind of have experienced this. If you're a very pale person like me. So I think that's like inspired by that, which is like, since I live in Denmark, which can be a pretty cold country in the winter, I definitely have experienced that. Just laying in some small layers and some lines and stuff, like it's just part about building up. At least that's my style. My art style is very much about building up multiple layers, especially in the paintings, of course, because you can layer on top of one another, which is like really important to me. And that, to be honest, that is what makes my style. It's just I never mix on the palette. Okay, never is probably an over and like over exaggeration, but I very rarely mix on the palette, and because I think it desaturates some of the colors, and also just the way I like to paint and create. I think it's better personally to just layer over some thin layers and some small lines and small and this and dragging some things across to create this kind of illusion of depth. It's a hard word. At least that's what I like to do. But you may be different. I know people who never use paint directly from the tube. They always mix it with something. But they have to mix like a lot of it every time because they gotta be sure they have enough to use for the whole piece. But I usually see this in oil painting, where I have friends who oil paint, where I usually see that in their artistry. Because it's not that people who use acrylic paint don't mix. Don't get me wrong, you can make some great colors with every type of paint. But I think it's just like, something about it. But I also think it's because oil paints mix better, they hold their saturation better with the colors. And some of them start very dark, but you can also get some very nice light colors if you just mix in a little bit of white to an oil paint, which you still can with an acrylic paint, but there's very usually a lot of undertones, which means that if you mix certain colors, they don't become just a lighter version of themselves or a darker version of the color. They become sometimes like weirdly different, a little bit different. Yeah. Just filling in with the Naples yellow red, which is the one that is closest to my skin color, which is just to get a little bit part of me in them, but also because I think it's a great mixing color, because I think white, like completely white, is too white. It's too saturated, or it's like it's too light, and it hits people. It makes everything look dull, compared to it. And of course, there's some, prevalence in the painting a person and giving it a very fair skin color, which would be like, just something a person could have, a real person like myself. You can also draw or paint people of every race and gender. I think I try to align my paintings with not anything in particular. Some of them are very monstrous, and some of them have genitals, which would suggest a gender, but most of them don't really have any of that. But I don't really care. I can paint a pair of balls if I want to, or a pair of breasts, or other stuff. I can if I want to, but it's not like the most important part of my pieces. But of course, it wouldn't make sense drawing most of that if you're just doing a portrait, and especially when you're doing kind of expressionistic paintings like me, where I'm not necessarily trying to capture real life or anything that's realistic, to be honest. It's I wouldn't say I try to paint very realistic, but that's also like the point, I think. I like to do it this way though. Well, the views have been down actually a lot, which is weird, but it's not weird, but it's weird. And I don't really know why, which is the thing about it, because the content is nearly the same. And I don't really know why people wouldn't like it, but that's fair. It's completely up to them. And of course, I'm still just doing it for fun, but it's very weird. It's kind of it's discouraging when it goes from like, a good part where you're like, okay, yeah, it's beginning to look like something, to just go completely down and just be like, what is going on? At least that's the reaction I had. But I think I need to make more content about reviews, or some would call it evergreen content, which I'm probably going to do more about, or try to at least do reviews of stuff or comparisons and stuff that people would want to watch, just not lazily, but like, I remember every time I've searched for a product and I search for a review, if it's an artist, like the product for some paint, I watched a review for this paint before I bought it. Then I made a review myself about this paint, which is one of the few videos which actually have gotten kind of continuous decent views. Of course, it got the most when it just got uploaded, but it still had a decent it still gets a decent amount of views a month, which is nice, because it's a nice video, it's a decent video, but it's like, it's also just a search, like, because that's just how it is, how it works, at least. But there is some things that will trigger the algorithm more, I guess, but it's also just what people want to see. That's the most important part, I would say. Yeah. Also, I made a Discord server, which I haven't done anything in yet, really. I got my friend to make it. He's really good at that sort of stuff. He's a really nice dude. And there's a link in the description. You can join it if you want. You don't have to, but you can. I think it's really cool. And I like it. I was like, you know what would be cool? It'd be cool just to have a place where people who liked art and my videos and getting some mutuals and doing some cool stuff together could be cool. Could be nice. Just showing art, creating like this kind of community of artists would be really cool. Just yeah, so like, why not make one? It's free and my friend knows how to do it, so worst comes to worst, it's like this hadn't cost me anything. But it's like, yeah, you can join if you want. You don't have to though, but if you want to, you can. Yeah, you can also see the painting here is, beginning to look like something, and it's like at this point in the painting where I become a little bit anxious that I might ruin it, because not that I do that every time, but I've been known to, for myself, that I sometimes ruin paintings or drawings by doing too much. And that's not because it's because I don't think. It's just because I just paint. I don't think about what I'm doing, and I just create something, and oh shit, then it's bad. But luckily this time it did not happen like that. I was not doing anything bad. I tried some stuff when I wasn't recording, because there's a part where I forgot to record at the very last, which is of course sad, but a usual of mine. That I think the most important part is just, recording me doing the sketch and the other stuff, because I can live with not having part of the last thing. That's also why I do the live, or I wouldn't say live, but the live speak, where I talk about the painting when when I finished it, because I think that's the most important. Just have the finished product. But that's also just what people want to see. That's what they want to see. And yeah, hopefully they want to see this. I don't know what I'm gonna title the video. Probably something, painting on a canvas I got from the thrift store, or something like that, because that's a very basic title, but it's real. It's really cool. I think it's a great painting, but nothing is promised in the land of YouTube. It's kind of a lottery, to be honest. It's like nothing is guaranteed, especially not views. I would say it's like weird. But that's the thing. I would be scared a bit if that was my only stream of income. Like if you only made money from AdSense, and just one month, just nothing happened. You just died for some weird reason. That would be scary. Like that would be really scary. But I don't think it would though. Like it will though. It would though. But I don't think it's gonna be my only stream of income if I ever reach monetization. I have other plans, which is called the working, which I actually love to do. I like working. Well, okay, it's not that I like working. I like having money, which I get from working. But there's also days where it's like, okay, I have nothing to do. I might as well work. Like I think my work is fulfilling in a weird way. Not in a weird way, in just a genuine way. It's kind of fulfilling. I think it's I feel that the work I do is important for for me, because I get paid, and for the people I make food for and I clean up after, and the old people, um, at our kind of a holiday resident thing I work at. So I think I do an important job, and they say so too. They're so sweet. It's really the best part of the job is like how sweet the old ladies and old men are. They're so sweet, and they'd be like, they just come up to you and ask, "Oh, how long have you worked here?" And then they just start on their whole life story, which sometimes is really weird and other times pretty standard. But yeah, hopefully you like this painting, and it's not done yet, so there's still a little bit more, but yeah. Okay, yay, we did it, or well, I did it. You just watched me do it, but new painting done. It's yeah, it's a double portrait. They look kind of similar. I envision them being twins or brothers. Probably brothers, maybe, I don't know. I'm not really sure, and I don't really care to think about it like that. It's just I created them and I think they're cool. So they're like just two bald dudes, and yeah, I did some usual things and I tried some new things, and I think they worked out great. I like both of the heads, but they give off very different characters. This one is more like somber, more just and this one is more angry. He looks more angry, more intense eyes, and yeah, just intense in general. But they are really cool. I like this huge ear and the flower here, which became like I don't even know what. Um, the cutoff points here, the like things here. Just in general the cool stuff I made. It's a great painting. I think it's nice. On a thrift store canvas too, because we love those. So it's like it wasn't that expensive to make. It was mostly the paint and of course the time. Yeah, but I think it's really cool. Um, yeah, I don't know if I have anything more to say really. It's like first painting I finished at 19, and yeah, just also think a great painting. My mother, she likes it a lot. She thinks it's better than some of the other stuff I've done, but more it's like it's different. Not necessarily the best I've made, but it's different and it's a way forward. At least that's what she said. But I think that too. There's something here I'm gonna take away from this painting, which I'm probably gonna do again, and so on and so forth. And that's how I'll keep evolving and becoming better. It's like with each painting I do something different, or if I do, I'll take away the good parts and leave the mediocre parts. But there isn't that much mediocre in this. I think this is a really great representation of where my level have gotten, or my skill set has gotten me in terms of what I can do now before compared to what I could do before. But yeah, it's done. It's cool. Thank you for watching. I have to get forward from the camera. Thank you for watching all the way through. There's not that many people who do that. It means the world to me. So please like, subscribe, and comment. And if you want to, join the Discord server. The link's in the description, so you can be an even cooler person. You can share your art, or you can chat with people, or you can ask me questions and I may answer them, and all sorts of stuff. So hopefully that will become a cool thing. But I don't know. Thank you for watching. Bye.